Now, it's all about listening to the wants and the needs of the end consumer. And for us producing food and fibre here in New Zealand, we have had mounting pressures from our urban population on their perception, or as we sometimes like to think, their misperception of our farming practices. It's time to get to the bottom of what they really think. Welcome to Serious Country, Dr. James Turner. James is here to discuss the findings with our latest Our Land and Water survey on this topic. James, firstly, can you explain the methodology you used behind the survey conducted in conjunction with the Open Farms Day held back on the 1st of March?
Sure. Thanks for the interest in the survey, Sarah. So, as part of that Open Farms Day, which was held on the 1st of March, Our Land and Water as the sponsor used it as an opportunity to provide an online survey to over 300 of the 3,500 visitors to those Open Farm Days. And they were asked a series of questions about their perceptions of farming and food in New Zealand, and how those perceptions were changed as a result of spending time out on farm as part of that Open Farms Day.
Okay, so I've got this here in front of me, and there's 4 key insights that were pulled out of that. So let's work through those. Number 1, on-farm experiences build that rural-urban trust to support sustainable farming. What did you find out there?
Yeah, sure. So we found that the overwhelming majority of the Kiwis that got out on farm enjoyed their experience. So 91% said that they would visit a farm again. And the farmers themselves enjoyed the opportunity to share their story about farming, with 67% of the farmers saying that they would host another Open Farm Day again. And then what was particularly interesting is that we surveyed those visitors about their attitudes towards farming and found that as a result of visiting farms, their attitudes towards farming changed. So one great example was that those visitors got a real appreciation for the complexity of farming, that it was more complex than they originally thought. That scored a 5.2 out of 7 on average. And then even more positive was that as a result of visiting these farms, those Kiwis felt more positive about the sustainability of farming in New Zealand. That scored a 5.8 out of 7.
But they still have their own criticisms from what they've heard previously, not so much about farmers being able to make the change, but some of the practices that are embedded within what we do. What were some of those farming practices that consumers and urban population would like to see changed?
Sure. So there was ones around reducing the use of synthetic fertilizers, keeping livestock out of waterways. And that was a nice sort of additional insight that came through, was that was identified by those visitors as one of the top priorities for improving environmental outcomes on farm. And so 43% of the survey respondents identified that as the top priority. And that really nicely aligns with industry action as well. So, for example, Manaki Whenua have done a survey, the Survey of Rural Decision Makers, and that's identified that 81% of farmers already taking those sorts of actions, and those are the actions that those visitors identified as really important. So that was great to see.
I'd like to understand what sort of questioning you asked around their attitude to buying local, to support locally grown food over environmentally conscious whole foods, because there's a lot going on there between the New Zealand farming systems, which are very different, and our ability to accreditate on packaging what we do compared to our imported competitive products in this space.
Yeah. So what was interesting was that those visitors to those farms identified that a really important action that they can take to support the sustainability of farming in New Zealand is by buying direct from New Zealand farmers and buying New Zealand grown. And we think that's sort of been prompted by seeing the practices that are already on place on farm to improve the sustainability of farming here in New Zealand. So those respondents talked about being willing to pay more for New Zealand grown premium products. So 64% said they do that, and 72% indicated that they'd be more likely to buy direct from farmers.
So this is part of Our Land, Our Water National Science Challenge, of what you're the theme leader of this particular part, and of course with your role at AgResearch, James. Can you explain to us about this wider research theme that you're looking after, capacity for transition? And this is just one part of it.
Sure, yeah. So the capacity for transition theme is about understanding what perceptions and behavioural shifts are needed to help New Zealand transition to a more sustainable farming future. So we want to have our way of supporting well-informed public debates. So like open farms was a great opportunity to tap into that, helping to bridge that rural-urban divide that's been talked about, and also building a collective understanding of responsibility that we can all take for improving the sustainability of farming. So that's recognising that farmers are taking action on farm, but as consumers of food, we can also take action around our food purchasing decisions by buying New Zealand grown, more sustainably produced food, buying direct from farmers.
Yes, Cameron Bagri's latest suggestion around a household management plan and what we can learn from farmers' farm environment plans, which is quite an interesting concept.
Great example, yeah.
Yeah, so also what would be the next sort of part of the challenge for your department around removing barriers to change for farmers and perceptions of what they think people think of them as well?
Yeah, sure. So there's a couple of things. One is supporting efforts like open farms and to continue that discussion and to really influence Kiwis' understanding of farming by supporting them to get out on farm and see what's happening. And the other part is to sort of widen the debate, widen the discussion. So we're looking at the opportunity to bring in policymakers, other industry players into a collective debate and discussion about what we can do in our different parts of the food system. So like farmers, what they can do on farm, but what can policymakers do to support and enable change on farm in a positive way, just like us as consumers of food can also help and support that change around our food purchasing choices.
Fantastic. Dr. James there. Sorry. With regards to this Our Land, Our Water, I was just busy thinking about policymakers, but also our politicians and the language they use as well going into, of course, this year's election would be fabulous. But thank you so much for taking the time to join us there, Dr. James Turner, AgResearch, Senior Social Scientist. And I've done some work with the AgResearch Social Science Committee in terms of the work they did with Heartland Strong and the Rural Resilience Program. If you want to go and check that podcast out, check out Heartland Strong. But it's great to see social science now working in a line with physical science and this interdisciplinary approach to science, because there is more than just black and white, and it's great that we're working that out. Now, of course, we're asking you in the comments below. Oh, sorry, I've still got James there. James, I was going to come to you because I forgot with Chris. What was the wonderful thing that you did this weekend out of lockdown?
Sure. So it was my birthday on Saturday. So we were able in level 2 to actually have a birthday party with friends. So I had a couple of friends and their families over, and those friends had their birthdays a couple of days before as well. So
fantastic.
It's great to have a birthday party with friends.
A big joint party. Any sort of special number?
No, it's getting closer to towards the 50s where I start sort of saying, no, I'm not really going to reveal my age.
Yeah, fair enough. No, I like to push people, but that's probably getting a bit far. There, congratulations, happy birthday from all of us watching. Thank you so much.
This is Sarah's Country.